Well, I'll tell you about something that happened to me recently, and I agree with Bonnie 100%, and I'll be the first one on a jury any day of the week. You just name it, I'll come and I'll be on a jury. And I don't need to make $100 a day, although $100 a day I won't turn it away. I can tell you something that happened to me recently. I was getting arrested by numerous cities in this military dictatorship in the DFW area, based on a capias, okay, a capias, which is not a warrant. I have court cases that say it's not a warrant, okay, and so, and actually what happened is they even charged me with failure to identify. Well, under their color of law, failure to identify statute, it says that you had to be lawfully arrested, and there was no lawful arrest. And anyways, so what happened, they charged me with failure to identify, which is a Class B misdemeanor. It's an actual crime.
Wow. In their codes.
In their codes, that's right. And so then I actually had to post a bond. I had to get a bond. I was in their hotel, and I had to get a bond to get out of their hotel, okay? And so I had this bondsman that was sending me emails telling me I had to show up at this hearing and this kind of stuff, right? And so I got this is a text, actually, on my phone. I got this text. I'll read it to you. There. Says here, cause number, setting date, okay, December the 8th. This was actually sent out, this text was sent out on October the 13th, okay, so that's like, well, about 6 weeks before the hearing, right? Anyways, and it says that it has the name of the scumbag bar member prosecutor, and the cause number, and the date there's a hearing, 1 p.m. This proceeding will be conducted remotely, and defendant should not appear in court, okay? And now that told me, because I had filed a notice of void judgment into the case, and I was getting on their case big time, okay? Because it's all color of law, and it's a fraud. So anyways, so this was back in October, and I made up a criminal complaint, an affidavit of criminal complaint. And I won't give you all of the stuff. I mean, the thing is like 30 pages long, okay? Because I go through the law and I spell it out step by step. But first of all, one of the points I made is that in the supreme law of the land, okay, that's Article 6 of the Federal Constitution, says it's the supreme law of the land. It says that in Article 4, Section 2, it says the Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States. So then think about that. What that means is that the state of Texas, you don't think that the state of Texas has to follow federal regulations? I guarantee you they do. When they do their payroll, when they do all their stuff, they're following the code of federal regulations every day, hundreds of times. And so, think about it. That means that the state of Texas is a territory. And it's property of the United States. And it's in the supreme law of the land that it says it. So I said, number one, the state of Texas territorial, and because you have to follow all these regulations, and therefore, you don't have, I'm entitled to a Republican form of government, and that doesn't include a territory. A territory falls under the international law rule, and there's a book that you can download. It's online, called Jurisdiction Over Federal Areas Within the States, a report of the Interdepartmental Committee on the Study of Jurisdiction Over Federal Areas Within the States, Part 2, a text of the law of legislative jurisdiction submitted to the Attorney General and transmitted to the President June 1957. That's like during the Eisenhower administration. Anyways, and it talks about the international law rule. And it says that federalizes state civil law, including common law. The rule serves to federalize not only statutory, but the common law of the state. And so, again, so that means that It's the international law rule. They're subjecting me to their international law. That's exactly what's going on, okay? So I brought that issue up. And I said that I'm entitled to a Republican form of government, and I have a court case that talks about it. It's Dred Scott versus Sanford. I'll see if I can find it. But so then, the next point I brought up is all lawyers are deemed to know the law. And I said, and these lawyers know that there is no such thing as a warrant for a Class C misdemeanor.
Right.
There isn't.
Right.
There is no such thing as a warrant for a Class C misdemeanor, and yet they're saying in their paperwork that there was warrants against me. Well, that's a bunch of crap. There was a capias. And these bar members are supposed to know. It's their job to know. The judge is a bar member. The prosecutor is a bar member. These bar members are required to know that it's a class, that there's no such thing as a warrant for a Class C misdemeanor. And so therefore, and a capias is a color of law warrant. And that's another thing I said. A capias is a color of law warrant. And I said, and so these bar members were knowingly, intentionally violating my right to ignore their color of law warrant, and they were violating my right under the color of law.
Right.
And so they were committing felonies. 18 U.S.C. 242.
Right.
And I said they were committing felonies. And it was knowing, willing, and intentional.
Right.
And because they are required to know the law.
Right.
And so that was another issue I brought up. And there was that I think is that's the slam dunk right there, because all of these bar members. Matter of fact, I have prepared a criminal complaint against the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. Okay, and the reason is that the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, they all have oaths of office. That's an office. That's an office. And they all have oaths of office. And I've gotten into the routine procedure of automatically contacting, I got the email address, it's automatic now, I know where to go, to the Secretary of State's office, and I say, please send me the oaths of office of, and I'll list the names. In this case, it was every member of the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, and there's like about 12 or 14 of them, and I listed all their names. And they sent me an email back saying, well, gee, we've only got 5. Whoa. Well, so now we got about 7 that are impersonating a public servant. And under the Constitution, it says that it takes 7 to have a quorum. So they don't even have a quorum. And I went and filed a bunch of judicial complaints, and they sent me back one day, they sent me back 25 of them where they dismissed them, all in separate envelopes, all with the same identical text where it's dismissing it, except that it's got the case number, and there's no way, the way they do that, there's no way that you could know which case number is against which judge. There's absolutely no way, because there was 25 of them. How am I supposed to know which one's is against which judge? And they deliberately do it that way. And then they say, well, if you have some additional information for this case, we'll be willing to entertain it. Well, how am I supposed to do that? They're making it impossible to know. And so, anyways, so that's one of my criminal complaints, is that we got some imposters that are impersonating public officials. Now, some of the people on the State Commission on Judicial Conduct are judges, and there's lawyers, and there's bar members, and so they may have an oath of office elsewhere, but the Texas Constitution specifically says that your oath of office has to state the office that you're entering into. And so if they don't have an oath of office for the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, they might have an oath of office as a judge, but that doesn't mean they have an oath of office on the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. You see what I'm saying? Right. So that's still impersonating it. So I got that thing ready to go, actually. I'm preparing some more because I want to sandbag them and send a whole bunch of them, eh?
Put all your complaints in affidavit form, swearing penalty of perjury.
Of course, always. Anyways, but that's a separate issue. What happened with this bond thing, okay, is they had sent me this notice for this hearing. That was like in the middle of October. Well, I made this criminal complaint, and about 3 weeks ago, I filed a criminal complaint saying that these are bar members. They're required to know there's no such thing as a warrant for a Class C misdemeanor. They're required to know that any so-called warrant for a Class C misdemeanor is a color of law warrant, and they're required to know that they're violating my rights under the color of law in violation of 18 U.S.C. 242.
And it creates a debtor's prison.
And
Article 1, Section 18 of the Texas Constitution forbids
I didn't bring that.
debtor prison.
I didn't bring that up. If you want the floor, you can have it after I'm done.
I'm just giving you more.
Anyways, so they're required to know that, and so they're knowingly and they're conspiring together because it's all there's a judge, there's a prosecutor, and then there's Sharon Wilson, who's the criminal district attorney. I mean, she's not telling her assistant what to do. You know, don't give me that. That there's a conspiracy there, and then the judge, he's sitting there playing stupid on the bench. Anyways, so I filed this criminal complaint, and that was about 3-4 weeks ago, and then it's coming up to the 8th of December, right, which was last Tuesday. And so in their email, let me show you, I'll read you the email further, in their text, it's a text. It says, this proceeding will be conducted remotely and defendant should not appear in court. It says December 8, 2020 at 1 p.m. Please contact the court with specific instructions on how to proceed for this upcoming setting. And then it gave me, it says the name, Rachel Martinez, County Court, Criminal Court number 3, phone number, and an email address. So, first of all, I sent an email address, and I sent an email to her, right? And I copied in, like, it's easy to figure out the email addresses for people like Tom Lowe, okay, who was a judge in the district court, 236 district court. It's easy to figure out what his email address is because I have the address here right now for Rachel Martinez. It's mrmartinez@tarrantcounty.com. So then Tom Lowe would be Tom, T-L-O-W-E, @tarrantcounty.com. That's easy, okay? And it didn't bounce either. It didn't come back to me. So you know he got it. Anyways, and so then I sent one to him. I sent one to David Evans, okay? D. Evans @tarrantcounty.com. I sent one to all the county commissioners. And I sent one, it, it's all copied. And then I copied myself, so now I have a copy sent to another email address where, anyways, so I sent an email. And I said, you're telling me, and the subject matter was the case number, and I sent. Let's see, maybe I can find it here, and I'll just read it. Anyways, I sent it to everybody and their brother, and. The case number was the subject matter. I'm just looking for it. Oh, here it goes. Cause number. Says, I'm told there's a hearing for your Roman cult K Trust, Glenn Winningham firm in all block capital letters, scheduled for 8 December 2020 online with your Satanist Baal priest McCoy, and I need instructions for an online meeting on Zoom so your handlers in China can oversee what's going on. I have lots of first-hand knowledge of how you Satanist government employees love to perjure your oath and lie, cheat, and steal under your Roman law, and I have McCoy's perjured oath of office attached, and I'm copying and blind copying a bunch of people into this email for evidence since you failed to respond in this matter. I have also copies of some of your bought and paid for horrors masquerading as judges since they love to perjure their oaths so much and they intend to violate my rights under the color of Texas Territorial District of Columbia codes and then sell their just us with their extortion racket filing fee and call it a contract. And I fully comprehend how they intend to violate my rights under the color of your District of Columbia Territorial codes in violation of your District of Columbia 18 U.S.C. 242. And you intend to conspire together to threaten me, injury, coerce me in the free exercise of my rights in violation of your District of Columbia 18 U.S.C. 241. And you each intend to engage in misprision of felony in violation of your District of Columbia 18 U.S.C. 4. and you each
Especially after
intend
the fact.
you each intend to subject to your satanic religious ceremony in violation of your 18 U.S.C. 247, and you intend to engage in a seditious conspiracy in violation of your 18 U.S.C. 2384. If you fail to communicate with me and then claim your Roman cult Satanic trust failed to appear and issue one of your color of law warrants that's actually a capias, I'll be armed. And if one of your pigs thinks he's going to unlawfully arrest me, there'll be no discussion. We'll settle it right then and there. Because I know how you and your bought and paid for whores selling your justice like McBride and Lowe and Evans and McCoy want me dead so your Roman cult criminal corporation can steal all the fake money out of your Sesticate trust account with the Treasury. So go ahead, make my day. If I blow your pig's brains out first, the first words out of my mouth will be, he wanted to do a commercial transaction. We were all here before the universe was created, and we'll all be here when it goes away before God, angels, and anybody who witnesses this email. I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. And that's the end. Anyways, I sent that to M.R. Martinez, B. McCoy, who's Bob McCoy, who's the judge in the matter, B.G. Whitley, who is he's the head judge on the County Commissioner's Court, S. Wilson, that's Tarrant County Sharon Wilson. I sent it to J.D. Johnson, the Commissioner's Court, R.C. Brooks, who is a Commissioner's Court, S.B. Hatt. I think he's on the Commissioner's Court. John McBride, that's federal judge. Barbara Lynn, who was a federal judge. J. Lowe, who was 236 District Court, and D. Evans, who was Chief Administrative Judge for the 8th Administrative. Anyways, they all got copies, and I have proof of it right here.
Did they respond?
Anyways, they haven't responded. I sent them 3 emails. None of them responded. I called the phone number. I left messages. None of them responded. And then what happened? Get a load of this. Then what happened is I responded to the text they sent me. And I said, I got it right here. It says, I've emailed them 3 times and left voice messages and they failed to respond. I sent that on Monday. Okay, Monday the 7th of December. Okay, which is the day before the show trial or the hearing. And they didn't even respond to that. And so there's no way. They didn't tell me. I mean, obviously they didn't, want me down there. They don't want to talk to me anymore. Even the bondsman doesn't even want to talk to me anymore.
They're like, we don't want a contract with him.
Leave that guy alone.
Anyways, so the point being is I think the color of law issue is probably the single most, and they're all bar members. They're all required to know the law. All bar members, there's a bar treaty of 1947. I'm going to do a YouTube video about this. I actually talked about it at the Northeast Private Information Share, but I didn't go into details. But there's a bar treaty of 1947. Let me, it's in my criminal complaint. It says, this is just one of the resolutions in the Bar Treaty of 1947. It says, resolved that the American Bar Association notes with the approval the further process made within the structure and charter of the United Nations at the Inter-American Conference for the Maintenance of Continental Peace and Security held at Quintandina in Brazil and implementing the Act of Chapultepec and strengthening the further spirit of friendly consultations and of submissions to law-governed procedures, as well as the means of preventing the means of united defense throughout the Americas against aggressions from outside and for the prevention of causes and disputes and misunderstandings amongst the nations of this hemisphere. The association hails with particular satisfaction the Inter-American Treaty of Reciprocal Assistance signed at Rio de Janeiro. Anyways, it's got international law written all over it, all over the place. They all are foreign agents, and that's another thing I brought up is, where's your registration as a foreign agent? Okay, they're all foreign agents,
right.
and they're traitors. Okay, that's exactly what they are. The biggest problem in this country is the bar. That is the single most biggest problem is the bar. If we got rid of these bar members, 90% of our problems will go away. I'm going to do a YouTube video about that. I just haven't done it yet, and but that's going to be an upcoming video, and it's going to be about these scumbag bar members, because that's exactly what they do. They're required to know the law, and they're going ahead and selling us into slavery. And when I filed that thing, I'm positive that I started accusing them of felonies and showed that they knew exactly what they're doing, and all of a sudden they're diving for cover. I bet you the FBI is talking to them.
Well, hopefully so.
Hopefully so. But, you know, and so that's another thing I'm doing, is I'm going to accuse the FBI of failure to do anything about it. Matter of fact, I'm sending that to Lindsey Graham and the U.S. Senate on the Commission on the Committee on the Judiciary, because they're the ones that brought these damn bar members in here, and so they're the ones that are responsible.
So back to the remedy about common law courts. How would you be willing to serve?
I'll be on the jury.
Would you be willing to serve as a magistrate?
I suppose I could.
We could have Donna swear whomever she feels is competent.
Well, I'm not sure that I can hold two offices
Why not?
as a member of the Senate.
Why not?
I can be on the jury.
That's not an office.
It's
That's not an office.
it's
It has to
separate.
do with the Republic of Texas.
It's not.
I'd rather convict them, because I convict them and I didn't keep that jury.
Well, we're also going to have some.
I really think, I'm looking forward to the day when all these light poles have a bar member hanging from them. I'm serious. I think that's what needs to happen. Now, that doesn't mean that all bar members deserve to get hung, but I'd say about 95% of them do. And I want to see the bastards get hung.
Anybody ever accuse you of being reserved?
Nope, I don't think so. Anyways, that's about all. This is one example where I made it, and this was they were proceeding in their kangaroo court. I made it. First of all, I think that the reason that they wanted to do a hearing online, I mean, they didn't want me going down to their court. Okay? And so I think the reason they want is because they were going to dismiss the case. You see what I'm saying? But I think that when I filed that criminal complaint, not only they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, and so I think I had them to the point that they were going to dismiss it, because I had filed a notice of void judgment into the case, and I'm always in their face. I go down there and I get the court to stamp it, and I make several copies and I serve them on the judge and on the prosecutor, and I just get right up in their face. And so, you know, right now, and on top of that, this whole thing came from Bedford, right? And I had sent the chief of police of Bedford a notice of demand, and then he perjured his oath. He sent his pigs out to assault me. So I sent one of my nasty grams to the chief of police, and I copied in Donald Trump and William Barr and the district attorney, and the first paragraph in my nasty gram, I don't know how many of you know this, it's about 20 pages long, but it starts off and it says, you know, I sent you a notice of demand where I accepted your oath of office, and I regret that, because it's obvious that you have no intention of honoring your oath of office, so fuck your oath, you motherfucking son of a bitch.
Hey.
Anyways,
It's very wordy.
I will.
Stop it.
I won't say, but I use those words all throughout the whole thing, every paragraph.
What you just heard, ladies and gentlemen, is a man that is so fearful of the government and of the justice system that he had to vent a little bit.
So, anyways, that chief of police got fired. Okay? I happen to know about that because it's actually online. Donna lives in Bedford. She knows about it. That chief of police got fired. The U.S. Rangers went in there and raided their police department. Or not the U.S., the Texas Rangers. Went in there and raided their police department. And I think it's because of my little nastygram that I sent out. and because everybody and their brother got a copy of that too. And he got fired. And who knows what else is happening over there in Bedford. And I think that's another reason why they kind of wanted to make this thing go away.
Yeah, they didn't want you in their satanic courts.
Anyways, I think he has a question back there.